Life-changing moment, billionaire discovers incredible truth about his twins in court revealed. Tom Hastings stood rigidly in a Chicago courtroom, his world teetering on the edge of chaos. The eyes of the crowd were heavy on him, whispers buzzing like bees. He was the self-made billionaire, yet today, he felt more vulnerable than ever. His heart raced, throbbing against the lavish suit that marked his life of wealth, but deep down, he was a man unmoored. Today was supposed to be about fighting for custody of his twin daughters, Lily and Grace. But the secrets swirling around them pulled him back to a past he had tried to escape. "Do you have any idea who I am?" he thought, clenching his jaw, but in reality, the real question loomed larger: did he even know his daughters? As the judge entered, a hush swept over the room. Relief washed over him temporarily, but it was short-lived. The air was thick with tension, awaiting heavy truths that could alter lives forever. He felt a warm rush of nostalgia flood his senses at the mere mention of their names. Eyes closed, he could hear their laughter, a melody of innocence that blended seamlessly with the strained past he had tried to leave behind. Memories of their mother, Maria, flashed like film snaps in his mind. The waitress who had stolen his heart. They had shared dreams amid the clatter of dishes and worn-out tables. What had he done? Turning away from them felt like walking out on his own soul. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The judge's voice cut through his spiral of thoughts. "Mr. Hastings, how will you provide stability for your daughters?" Each word felt like a dagger, forcing him to confront his privilege and distance from the gritty neighborhood where they had lived. Did money truly buy happiness? The deep-rooted ache in his chest told him otherwise. "Tell me, Tom." The accusation in Maria's voice echoed and cut like ice. "You walked away. What makes you think they want you now?" The quiet room erupted with murmurs, eyes glaring at him with judgment. A collective breath held in disbelief. He was suddenly 17 again, standing at a cul-de-sac where his mother worked tirelessly to keep their family together. As his heart clenched, he realized his daughters deserved better. They deserved someone who understood struggle, not just success. Could he bridge the gap between what he had become and what they truly needed? He locked eyes with Maria. Their shared past hung in the air like a stubborn fog, and he knew one thing: it wouldn't be easy to reclaim what was lost, but maybe, just maybe, it was worth fighting for. Just then, the whispering crowd fell silent, waiting for his answer. Tom felt the weight of the moment upon him. This was a chance to break the cycle of abandonment. Could he truly grasp redemption, or was he destined to slip back into shadows of regret? The air thickened with unanswered questions as the courtroom watched, breathless, for the truth of fatherhood to unfold. What would he sacrifice to mend his family? And as all eyes fell on him, Tom stood poised at the precipice of a decision that could change everything. Tom took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus. The silence in the courtroom weighed heavily on him, pinching at his senses. All the doubts, all the regrets, crowded his mind like unwanted guests at a party. How did he even begin to explain? What words could encapsulate a father's yearning for his daughters, a love that had been muted by time and distance? "Your Honor," his voice cracked, but he steadied it. "I realize I don't have all the answers." The crowd shifted slightly, their collective breath steadying, curious about this unexpected honesty. "I've spent my life chasing success, driven by the belief that wealth could erase the past. But standing here, facing my daughters, I know how false that belief is." A flicker of attention caught his peripheral vision. Maria's expression softened momentarily, as if she were seeing him as he once was, a hope-filled young man, not yet consumed by ambition. He pushed on, feeling emboldened. "I've missed so much: every birthday, every school play. I can't wind back the clock, but I want the chance to be part of their lives now. He caught snippets of quiet whispers, half-hearted accusations, half-formed doubts. He's just a rich guy trying to buy love. He won't stick around. But Tom refused to let their judgment drown him. I've learned that love isn't about money, he continued, his voice gaining momentum. It's about connection, understanding, and showing up when it counts. He could see Lily doodling on the notepad Maria had given her, her little brow furrowed in concentration. Grace, sitting beside her, stole glances at Tom, as if trying to reconcile this man before her with the ghost she had conjured up from childhood stories. Every day since I left, I've thought about you too. I've wondered how you've spent your days. Not a moment has gone by without the ache of knowing I wasn't there. The emotion churned inside him, threatening to spill over, but he held it back. I want to be there now. I want to help you with your dreams, your struggles, and your joys. I may have lost the chance to be the father I should have been, but I'm here now. I choose to be here. Tom's eyes locked onto Maria's, pleading for her understanding. Her guarded expression began to shift, ever so slightly, the rugged exterior softening. The crowd's energy shifted too, there were subtle nods, lightning glimmers of empathy. Maybe they didn't fully believe him yet, but they were listening. Your Honor, he adjusted his voice, addressing the judge again, I may not be perfect, but I want to learn to be a father. To be someone my daughters can trust and lean on. All I ask for is a chance for them to discover who I am, for us to discover who we can be together. With those words, the room felt electric. The tension rippled, and suddenly the quiet wasn't suffocating, it was filled with possibility. Tom saw the flicker of hope reflected in the eyes of Lily and Grace, and it ignited something deep within him. As the judge gestured for calm, a mixture of anticipation and fear gripped Tom. Would he get this chance? Could he really win them back? He felt the walls of his heart crack, just a little, as he considered that maybe, just maybe, there was still hope after all. Before he could drown in thought, Maria stood up, her voice steady yet tinged with tension. If you're serious about this, there is something you need to know. What you think you know about your daughters is only half of the story. Tom's heart raced anew, pounding with urgency at the revelation. What twist awaited him now? Tom blinked, the world around him narrowing down to Maria's words. Each syllable she uttered felt like a stone dropped into a pond, creating ripples of uncertainty. The tension in the room shifted, everyone leaned in, eager to grasp what was unfolding. Half of the story, he echoed, disbelief painting his features. What do you mean? Maria's gaze hardened again, steel beneath the softness he had just glimpsed. You think you missed out on life with them, but what if I told you they've missed out on something too? He inhaled sharply, his thoughts racing. The memories he clung to were filled with guilt and regret, and now she was suggesting there was more to discover. Maria took a breath, as if deciding how much to reveal. They know who you are, but they've only seen the rich man who left. They never got to know you, the man behind the money. They've been hurt, Tom. They're not just your daughters, they have feelings, and they carry pain. Lily peeked at Tom, her doodle forgotten. Grace bit her lip, her beautiful blue eyes brimming with hurt, searching his face for something in answer. Reassurance. What do you want me to do? Tom asked, desperation creeping into his voice. The enormity of the moment bore down on him, and he wanted to fix things, but he didn't know where to start. How can I make this right? Maria's voice softened slightly. They need you to be pure. They don't need a fairy tale, just honesty, a father who shows up. Murmurs spread through the crowd, and Tom could feel the weight of their scrutiny, people deciding his fate just by observing. He clenched his fists, feeling the pulse of his own heart. It seems simple, but it's not. Maria continued. They're scared, Tom. They've built walls. They need you to break through them, slowly, patiently. Maybe it's time for some uncomfortable truths. His mind raced with the implications. What truths was she hinting at? Hadn't he already been uncomfortable enough? But as he looked into Grace's hopeful eyes, he felt a swell of determination. "I'm ready," he said, voice steadier now, passion fueling him. "Whatever it takes. I'll learn from them, I want to understand what they've been through." Maria briefly brushed her fingers through her hair. "Then you need to listen. Not just what they say, but what they fear or what they hope for. It's a long road, and the first step has to be yours." Tom nodded, absorbing her words. The shades of responsibility enveloped him, yet they felt different this time, more of a chance than a burden. But even as hope ignited within him, the reminder of other truths loomed in the edges of his consciousness, whispering doubts. Could he really rebuild their shattered connection? "Can we begin today?" he asked, turning to the girls. The room held its breath, the fluttering of hope visible in the air. Maria nodded slowly, her expression one of cautious encouragement. "Don't push too hard. Let them lead." And then came a voice from the back, an elder family friend, breaking the tension. "What about her mother? She has something to say about this, Tom." The atmosphere shifted again, a chill creeping in. Tom's pulse quickened. Rebecca. The ex-wife he had tried to forget, yet a part of him understood that no reconciliation with his daughters could happen without addressing her. What role would she play in this redefined relationship? As he stood at the precipice of change, facing not just the girls but a mother uninvited into this fragile reunion, Tom felt the familiar weight of fear settling in. Could he navigate the cross-currents of this complicated reunion? What might Rebecca reveal that could shatter everything he was trying to rebuild? Tom's heart raced as the voice cut through the thick air like a knife. Rebecca. The thought of her sent a shiver down his spine. Memories flooded back, arguments, the days she walked away with their girls, the feeling of helplessness as she turned her back on everything they had built together. Could he expose himself to that pain again? Would she stand in the way of the healing he desperately sought? "Maybe it's time we heard from her," someone in the audience murmured. A wave of murky emotions washed over him. He glanced at Grace and Lily, they seemed torn, their eyes darting between him and their mother's old friend. Would they want her here too? Tom Maria's voice pulled him back from the edge of his thoughts. "You need to make the call. You can't avoid the past. It's a part of this." Taking a deep breath, he walked to the center of the room, trying to steady his shaking hands. A knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach. Maybe hearing from Rebecca will help. "We can't do this in pieces." A collective hush fell over the room. He looked at the girls and saw the shimmers of fear behind Grace's brave facade and Lily's wide, questioning eyes. "Do you want to talk to her?" He hesitated, half hoping they would say no. Grace swallowed hard. I don't know, Dad. "I need to hear from her too," Lily said softly, her voice trembling, but her determination shined through. It was an opening, he wanted to hold on to it, to nurture it. "Okay," he finally conceded, his voice steadier now. "I'll reach out. I'll invite her." Reluctantly, Tom pulled out his phone. Each swipe felt like a reminder of every moment he had lost with them. The memories clawed at him, the birthday parties, the bedtime stories, the years measured by distance. His finger hovered over Rebecca's name. Was he ready to face her? The ceiling lights flickered above, and the murmur of whispers around them seemed to pulse with collective anticipation. He pressed the call button, the ringing piercing the silence, echoing his quickening heartbeat. After 3 agonizing rings, a familiar, hesitant voice answered. "Tom." "Rebecca," he started, feeling like he was standing on a cliff's edge. "We need to talk. About the girls. Is everything okay?" There was genuine concern in her voice, a hint of the woman he once loved. "Yes. But you need to come here. We need you to share your side of this story." Another pause, filled with a tension that crackled like static electricity. "I'll be there," she finally replied, and Tom could hear the uncertainty in her tone, just as palpable as his own. As he hung up, silence enveloped him. Making the call had felt like dipping his toes into a treacherous ocean, but now he was all in, waiting for the tide to carry him where it may. The girls were still watching him. "You really want to do this?" Grace asked, her voice steadier than before. "It's the only way," he said, resolution settling over him like a warm light. "I'm here to fight for you, and that includes facing our past together." Lily took a tentative step forward, her little hand reaching for his. "I just want us to be okay," she whispered, eyes wide with hope. A tear slid down Tom's cheek, half from pain and half from the resurgence of hope. "Me too, kiddo. Me too." But lurking beneath that hope was the old, gnawing fear: what if Rebecca brought chaos instead of clarity? As Tom looked around the room, the community watching in silence, he knew he was standing at a crossroads. Whatever happened next could change everything. Just as he took a moment to breathe, the door opened with a creak. All eyes turned, hearts pounding, as they awaited the arrival of the woman who could either bridge their shattered past or throw them further into chaos. Would this be the moment of truth he sought, or a deeper plunge into conflict? The door swung open with an ominous creak, revealing Rebecca standing in the doorway, her outline barely visible against the dim light behind her. Time seemed to freeze. Tom's breath caught in his throat. She hadn't changed much, same cascading hair, same striking eyes that danced with a hint of apprehension. Yet those eyes looked tired, the shadows under them deeper than he remembered. The tension in the room shifted as whispers swirled like autumn leaves. Grace and Lily were holding their breath, their expressions a collage of excitement and discomfort. Tom could sense their anticipation, the search for answers hanging thick in the air. "Tom," Rebecca said softly, stepping inside, her voice laced with a mixture of strength and fragility. "You called." Tom nodded, uncertainty flooding him. "Thank you for coming." He motioned for her to join him, but the distance between them felt like an unsaid chasm. As she stepped closer, he took note of the way her hands trembled ever so slightly. He remembered how it had always been harder for her to show fear, how she would rather present a facade of control. "Hi Mom," Grace finally whispered, breaking the strained stillness, her voice barely audible yet bursting with curious warmth. "Hey, sweetheart," Rebecca replied, her smile faltering. It wasn't quite the reunion Tom had envisioned. Maria stood nearby, her presence a quiet reassurance. "Maybe we should start with what brought us together," she suggested, her voice soothing enough to provide a balmy backdrop to the brewing storm. Tom took a deep breath, finding strength in the simple act. "Rebecca, we're here because we need to understand." "The girls I know," she interrupted, her eyes darting toward Grace and Lily. "I've had so much time to think about everything we lost." Her admission echoed through the room. Tom's heart twisted at the pain wrapped in her words, igniting the embers of both anger and affection he still harbored. "You walked away," he stated, not out of accusation but as a reminder that they had a shared past shadowed by decisions made in haste. "Because I thought it was what was best." She shot back defensively, her voice tinged with a desperation that hurt to hear. "I thought it would protect you, protect the girls." Lily stepped closer to Tom, her small frame as if weighing the emotional burden. "But we need you, Mom. We missed you," she said, her voice weaving the delicate fabric of innocence and longing. Tom watched Rebecca's heart crack a little under that weight. Her expression softened, almost grateful. I missed you too. So much." A brief silence fell. The room held its breath, heavy with the unsaid. Tom never anticipated how vulnerable Rebecca could be. A flicker of hope ignited within him, but it carried an unsteady flame. Could they truly rebuild the family they had lost? "Why did you come back now?" Tom asked, his voice steady, but inside he wrestled with the rising tide of dread. He desperately sought truth, yet a part of him was terrified of what might follow. Rebecca shifted slightly, locking eyes with each of her daughters before settling back on Tom. "Because I want to understand what I did and be part of their lives again. I can't change the past, but I want to try to mend what was lost. Tom felt rage bubble just beneath the surface. But you have to understand it won't be easy. You weren't there for us, for years. You can't just reappear and expect everything to be fine. Her breath hitched. I know. I know I can't take back the hurt. As unshed tears glistened in her eyes, Tom realized they were standing on the brink of something monumental. Reconciliation was waiting, but so was deep emotional turmoil. The reality ahead was uncertain, but all three of them held the key to unlock that door. Can we start here? Grace's voice was steady, acting as a bridge connecting the broken pieces. Can we just talk? No more hiding. The room felt smaller as they moved toward each other, a tentative circle of hope. But as Tom looked into Rebecca's eyes, he wondered if her promise held true weight or if it was just another veil obscuring the truth. Were they willing to dig deep into the wounds collectively? Or would revealing their scars only ignite the old flames of conflict, further ripping their fragile bond apart? The weight of that question loomed, like thunder hanging low before a storm. The moment hung in the air, dense with possibility and dread. Just then, the door opened, revealing a person he never expected to see, a lawyer with an unsettling expression. I'm sorry to interrupt. There is something you all need to know. Tom's heart dropped. What new revelation was coming? And would it push them closer to healing or tear them apart once more? The lawyer stood framed in the doorway, a heavy folder clutched tightly in one hand. Tom's heart thumped violently in his chest as he searched the lawyer's face for any sign of what was coming. The tension thickened even more, pulsating in the air like the electric anticipation before a storm. Who are you? Rebecca asked, her voice steadier than Tom expected, though her eyes darted nervously between him and the stranger. I'm Robert Kingston, he replied, his tone professional yet laced with unease. I represent the estate of your late uncle, Richard Greystone. Tom blinked, momentarily forgetting his own turmoil. Richard was a man of wealth and influence, someone he hadn't spoken to in years. Uncertainty danced in his mind. What does that have to do with us? Robert hesitated, his gaze drifting to Grace and Lily, who were now visibly intrigued, stepping closer to see what all the fuss was about. There are financial matters to discuss, but more importantly it concerns the girls. Lily's expression shifted from curiosity to alarm. What about us? I wish I could say this is good news, he began, shifting his weight, clearly uncomfortable. There's a provision in Richard's will that reveals something crucial about your birth. Tom felt an icy grip around his heart. What do you mean? Just tell us. Robert cleared his throat, looking back at the folder. It states that both of you were part of a private arrangement. You're not just his great-nieces, you may actually be his biological grandchildren. The room fell silent. The words hung heavy in the air, wrapping around each of them like an unwelcome fog. Grace's eyes widened, her innocence battling confusion. That can't be right, she whispered. Rebecca's face paled, her composure slipping. No, that's impossible. I would have known. But you didn't, did you? Robert interjected, his calm voice barely cutting through the storm of emotions. Your uncle had reasons for secrecy. I need you all to understand this could lead to significant changes in your lives, including financial implications. Financial implications? Tom echoed, disbelief coloring his tone. His heart raced, not because of money but the implications of heritage and family. Maybe you don't understand, Robert replied, impatience creeping into his demeanor. If the claim holds, it would mean a significant estate passing to Rebecca, and by extension to the girls. Tom felt nausea rise in his throat. You're telling us to disregard everything we thought about family? That our past is built on deception? Lily's small voice broke through, timid and full of raw emotion. Does this mean Mom really isn't our mom? Tears welled in Rebecca's eyes, and she shook her head violently. No, I've always been your mother. Nothing can change that. But everything else is different now, Tom pressed, his voice thick with frustration. What else do we not know? What other secrets did Richard keep? Rebecca turned to him, her eyes shimmering in the dim light. I can't answer that, Tom. But I know I've loved them every day since they were born. That hasn't changed. Grace stepped forward, her small frame radiating both bravery and hurt. I want to know the truth, no matter what it is. I want us to be a family, but I need to understand. The lawyer nodded slowly, the weight of the moment heavy on his shoulders. You'll need to decide how to proceed, he said, his voice softer now. This isn't just about money. It's about identity. Your identities. As they absorbed the revelations, Tom realized that this was no longer just about their fractured past. This was about a future they had to navigate together, standing on a fault line of history and possibility. Feeling a swell of resolve, Tom clenched his fists. We're gonna figure this out. Together. We can't let secrets tear us apart again. But inside, uncertainty raged. Shadows loomed over their fragile bond, threatening to burst their delicate bubble. Would they truly find the strength to face a past riddled with lies, or would this newfound truth deepen the chasms they were struggling to bridge? As Robert began to explain the next steps, Tom's gut twisted with dread. What awaited them on this uncharted path? And was it truly the reunion they'd hoped for, or the start of a new conflict altogether? Tom could hear his own breathing, shallow and quick, as he focused on Robert's words. They felt like stones dropping into a pond, rippling outward, each wave touching the very core of their lives. The silence in the room was suffocating, filled only with the unsteady sounds of hearts racing and the frantic thoughts battling within. You can't just drop a bomb like that and expect us to be all right, Rebecca blurted out, her voice strained but fierce. You're saying their whole life is a lie? Robert rubbed the back of his neck, looking uncomfortable. I understand how difficult this is to process. It's a shock for all of you. But if you're open to it, I believe there may be more information contained within this document. It's up to you to decide how you want to handle this. Lily shuffled closer to Grace, her hand finding her sister's, gripping it tightly. She looked so small, vulnerable, and Tom felt a surge of protectiveness wash over him. How do we know if this is true? What if it's just a mistake? She asked, her voice shaking. Tom stepped forward, trying to be the anchor in the storm. We don't have to act on anything right now. We can take time. We can look into it. He turned to Robert, desperation lacing his words. You said there's more to know. We need to start there. Of course, Robert replied, nodding. If you'd like, we can go through everything together. But you'll need to agree on whether to pursue this legally first. Rebecca looked at her children, her expression a mixture of fear and love. No matter what the truth is about your lineage, I am your mother, she insisted. That won't change. You will always be my girls. Grace looked up at her mother, her young mind wrestling with the conflicting whirlwind of emotions. But what if we're losing something we never knew we had? Tom's chest tightened. He struggled to keep his focus on Rebecca, whose face now reflected the turbulence he felt simmering inside. Your bond with them is unbreakable. Whatever this means, it's just a part of who you are, he said, willing everyone in the room to believe his words. Robert cleared his throat, preparing to delve deeper. If you are interested in pursuing Richard's estate, my role is to help you navigate through this. But it all starts with understanding the truth. The atmosphere shifted, everyone seemed to take a collective breath. Tom felt the warmth of his sister's hands linked together, a reminder of their bond that, despite everything, could weather this storm. It was his cue to act. Okay, he began, voice steadied with determination. Let us hear it then. Let us find out what Richard wanted us to know. Robert opened the folder, the papers crinkling softly as he laid them out. This document includes details of Richard's life and a history I'm sure you'll find enlightening. Be prepared, it's a lot to absorb. As Robert read, Tom felt the gravity of the moment encase them. With each word he heard, the remnants of his childhood flickered like fragile flames in a dark room. Memories of laughter, quiet moments, and unspoken fears filled his mind. Were those feelings enough to hold on to when facing a new reality? When Robert finally paused, folding the paper neatly as if the weight of their family history could be tucked away, Tom's heart raced. What's the next step? He could hardly ask, fearing the unknown. You can choose to accept this new identity, or you can challenge it. But understand this: whatever decision you make will change everything, Robert said, his gaze sweeping across all their faces, resonating with the gravity of his words. Was it indeed possible to change their fate, or was acceptance the key to unlocking their happy memories without shattering what they had? As uncertainty wrapped around his heart like a vice, Tom took a breath and steeled his resolve. Let's do it then, he decided, feeling the strength of Rebecca's presence beside him. No more hiding. We'll face this together. But as the words left his lips, a nagging question hung in the air: would facing the truth bring them closer together, or would it unravel the very fabric of their family once and for all? The atmosphere crackled with tension, a mix of hope and fear swirling around them like a thick fog. Tom looked at his sisters, their faces a mosaic of emotion. Grace's brow furrowed in worry, while Lily's eyes glistened with unshed tears. They were stepping into uncharted territory, and the only guide they had was Robert, whose calm demeanor felt steadily authoritative yet somewhat detached. Okay, Robert said, gathering his notes, let's break this down. Richard's estate, as intriguing as it is, comes with a complicated history. You need to know what you're diving into. Tom felt a lump form in his throat. Would this journey lead to answers or only more confusion? What's first? He asked, his voice unwavering despite the turmoil inside. You'll need to understand who Richard was to you, what his connections were, and how these details shape your lives. We can start with his will. Robert began, explaining the particulars of Richard's will. The structure bore an air of authority, yet Tom struggled to grasp the implications. Each detail was like peeling back layers of a long-buried secret. And then the name Millstone Enterprises surged to the forefront, a family business Tom never knew about. Why didn't we know about this? Tom felt anger bubbling up. Because Richard wanted to protect you, Robert explained gently. He believed that revealing everything too soon might disrupt your childhood. He underestimated how deep the truth goes. Tears streamed down Lily's cheeks as she whispered, so, we were living in a lie. No, Rebecca interjected, her tone fierce. What we shared was real. We are a family, no matter what. Her voice, though tinged with pain, brought a flicker of warmth back to Tom's heart. It reminded him of the moments they shared: birthday parties, family dinners, the laughter echoing in their home. Tom took a deep breath as he fought against the rising tide of doubt. What else is in there? He pressed, needing direction, needing to steer away from feeling lost. Robert nodded, flipping through the documents. Richard had plans for all of you. He thought you could inherit not just wealth, but influence, responsibility. And with that comes a legacy. A weighted silence settled over the room. The prospect felt overwhelming, the expectations wrapping around Tom like chains. Would he measure up to this new identity? Could they navigate a world far removed from their simple lives? Lily squeezed Grace's hand tighter, the sisters' unspoken bond a stark reminder of their strength. What do we do? Grace asked softly, her voice laced with vulnerability. We take it step by step, Tom replied, glancing around, catching bits of understanding in their nervous glances. Together. Robert cleared his throat. There's one last thing. Richard's estate is more than financial wealth. There are ongoing projects, communities he was investing in, and those will need your stewardship. Tom felt an unexpected rush of responsibility flood his chest. We can do this, he said, conviction solidifying in his words. All of us. We won't let his legacy go to waste. But as his voice hung in the air, his heart whispered doubts. Could they really take on such a weighty legacy? Would they fall apart under the pressure, or could they emerge stronger from this challenge? Remember, Robert added, his eyes settling on each of them, this journey will require more than just courage. It will demand honesty, not only with yourselves but with each other. When Tom's gaze met Rebecca's, something flickered in her eyes, fear mingled with a glimmer of resilience. The road stretched out before them, uncertain yet charged with potential. Would they embrace this challenge, or would the thrill of revelation push them further apart? Tom swallowed hard, glancing at his sisters. Let us step into this together. No more hiding, only facing the truth ahead. But would truth, once revealed, create the unity they desperately sought, or drive an irreversible wedge between them? The unknown loomed ahead, and as they prepared to dive deeper into the shadows of their family's past, a question simmered quietly: what other secrets were waiting to emerge? Tom felt a sense of determination surge within him, but a nagging fear wouldn't he let go. The weight of the words hung over them like a dark cloud, threatening to pour down with the secrets waiting to emerge. What other projects? What did he invest in? His voice trembled slightly. Robert rifled through the documents again, pulling out another sheet. There's a community center he was building in a low-income area. It's meant to provide education, vocational training, and mentorship for teens. Richard believed that empowering the younger generation would pave a better path for them. Grace's face lit up, the image of a community uplifted by her father's dream sparking a flicker of hope. That's incredible, she whispered, her heart swelling at the thought of positive change springing from her father's vision. This is in our hands now, Lily added, rubbing her face as realization dawned on her. We have to finish what he started. I can reach out to local organizations. They might help us. Tom glanced at Lily, a sense of pride welling in him. Exactly. We can do this together. But a perplexing thought raced through his mind. Would their father have wanted them invested in this world that seemed far removed from their comfortable suburban lives? Robert cleared his throat again, pulling Tom back to the present. Skill and passion can break through any barriers. You each have your unique strengths. Engage those gifts. This is more than about wealth, it's about legacy and contribution. Tom looked at each of his sisters. Behind their worry was a steely determination forming. Okay, let us map it out. Break down tasks. We'll all have roles. He took a moment, his heart thumping loudly. But we need to check our fears at the door. Whatever happens, we need to be honest with one another. No secrets, right? Rebecca nodded, her expression as resolute as it ever was. We'll be a team. No matter how difficult the truth is, we face it together. As they began brainstorming, the room felt charged with excitement. They sketched plans for meetings, outreach, and involvement in Millstone enterprises. Each idea buzzed with the possibility of change, a hopeful light creeping in to dispel the remnants of doubt. Yet, in the midst of their optimism, a deeper worry lurked beneath the surface. It wasn't just about legacy anymore, they were unearthing their father's wishes, and with it, their own identities. The thought struck Tom. What if we fail? What if we don't live up to what he envisioned? There was a moment of silence. Grace looked at Tom, her blue eyes reflecting a certain sadness mixed with reassurance. We have to try. Even if it's hard, even if it doesn't go the way we hope, we can't shy away from it. Tom swallowed, the tightness in his chest easing as he nodded. You're right. We owe it to him and to ourselves. With the evening shadows creeping in, they drew a plan, punctuated by laughter and debates, each sister carving out her role. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, Tom couldn't shake off the sense of dread quietly wrapping around his heart. What if there was something even more significant buried in Richard's history? A hidden challenge that could unravel everything they built that night? With these questions twisting in his mind, Tom felt a chill. The secrets of Millstone Enterprises might have just started revealing themselves, but what lay ahead could shake their very foundation. The night had miles to go, and he wasn't sure if he was ready for the twist that came next. As the days turned to weeks, Tom Hastings found himself enveloped by a whirlwind of change. Each meeting regarding Millstone Enterprises buzzed with energy, yet the underlying tension never quite disappeared. The project, a community center, came to life on paper, but every decision bore the weight of the past. Could he really step into this legacy? Tom stood in the center of the bustling site one afternoon, the sun glistening against steel beams. Workers moved around him, laughter mingling with the sounds of hammers clashing. For the first time, he felt a rush of pride. This was not just a building, it was an opportunity to reshape lives, including his own. But the looming specter of his relationship with the girls still gnawed at his insides. Grace and Lily had become fiercely dedicated to the project, fueling the drive within him. Yet, their bond with Rebecca was fragile. Each day brought new challenges, and with each challenge came the potential for conflict. When they faced uncertainty, they often looked to him for direction, but how could he stand tall when his own foundation felt shaky? "Dad, can we really do this?" Grace asked one evening, staring down at the blueprints spread across the dining room table. "Of course," Tom replied, trying to suppress the heaviness in his chest. "We'll make it happen. This is our chance." But was it? He wondered. In the back of his mind, doubts danced like flames, fueled by fears of inadequacy, whispers of failure. What if opening these doors led to pain instead of healing? Then came the call that shattered everything. "Tom, it's Robert," the lawyer's voice rang through the phone, clipped and urgent. "You need to come by. It's about Richard's estate." An icy dread settled in the pit of Tom's stomach. "What's wrong?" "I'd rather discuss it in person," Robert said. There was an unspoken gravity laced within his words that unsettled Tom. "Okay. I'll be there." The drive felt interminable. With every passing streetlight, he steeled himself against potential devastation. Each turn could be a revelation, but for what? When he arrived at the office, Robert met him with a grave expression. "There are some discrepancies in Richard's original documentation, things we need to address. It seems there was an oversight." Tom's heart raced as he sat down. What kind of oversight? Buried within his last wishes. They were not submitted correctly. "We could lose a lot if this goes to court." The room blurred as panic crept in. "What do you mean?" "Millstone Enterprises is not protected the way we thought. There are potential claims against it." Tom felt the world tilt. Could everything they had built be torn apart just as quickly? Who would claim it? He asked, voice trembling. "Others who were involved in Richard's life, people you don't even know exist." Anger surged through him. The walls around him narrowed. "After everything we've been through, after the effort we've poured into this, someone could just come in and take it from us? I'm afraid it's possible. You will need to act fast." Tom left the office reeling, desperation clawing at him. In a matter of days, everything could unravel. He clenched his fists, determination spiraling within him. No more secrets. No more running. That evening, as the sun faded, Tom sat down with Grace and Lily. They had become a united front over the past few weeks. "We need to talk," he said, his heart heavy but his voice steady. "What's up, Dad?" Grace asked, a sparkle of excitement lingering from the day's progress with the community center. Tom dreaded bursting their bubble, but honesty had to reign. "There are issues with the estate. Legal troubles. People could claim ownership over Millstone Enterprises." "What?" Lily gasped, her eyes wide with shock. "Isn't there anything we can do?" Tom nodded. "We can fight it, but we'll need to stand together. We can't shy away from the truth that could tear us apart." The girls exchanged nervous glances. Finally, Grace spoke, voice steady. "We're not afraid. We'll face it together, right?" Tom exhaled, admiration flooding his chest. Yes. We will. Days turned into weeks as they prepared. Each time they met with Robert, Tom saw resolve strengthen within his daughters. They were transforming into strong pillars of hope, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. And despite the weight of uncertainty, he drew strength from their shared unity. He realized the real legacy he was building was not just in business, it was in familial love, the kind that stubbornly fights through adversity. Then came the day of the hearing. With shaking hands, they entered the courtroom. The atmosphere was thick, breathing memories both heavy and far too real. The opposing side emerged like shadows, ready to contest their claim. Whispers flared among the crowd, the gavel's sound felt like a thunderclap. But as Robert stood to represent them, he looked at Tom, Lily, and Grace with fierce determination. "This is not simply about wealth," he began. "It's about family. This legacy was meant to uplift, not destroy." Tom's heart thundered. He watched his daughters, their eyes set on the future. As the legal battle unfolded, he saw resilience in every word they spoke. Their voices were intertwined with courage that could bend but never shatter. And in the end, after hours of arguments, the judge turned to them with a weary expression. "The legacy remains with the family." Joy erupted in Tom's heart. He glanced at his daughters. It was in their spark of relief that he saw their growth, a unity that had blossomed through adversity. Later that evening, under a star-studded sky, they stood as a family at the budding community center, awash in the light of a new beginning. Tom reached for both their hands, feeling the warmth radiate between them as they breathed in unison. "Together, we faced the storm," he said, the emotion etched in his voice. "And look where we stand now. This is just the beginning." Tears of joy sparkled in Lily's eyes. "Can we really do all of this?" "Yes," Grace affirmed with a smile that radiated promise. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, wrapping them in vibrant colors, Tom realized that they had not just built a legacy, they had rebuilt their family stronger, braver, intertwined through struggles faced and love fiercely reclaimed. Life had changed irrevocably, and standing together felt like home. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe to the channel right now so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We rely on your support to keep these heartwarming tales alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. It's important to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the importance of spreading these messages of hope.